You have VS Code all set up for .NET MAUI development, deploying to iOS simulators and Android emulators, and you're like, wow, wouldn't it be great to test it on a real device like this one? Well, you can, in just a few easy steps, enable your Android devices to deploy no matter what operating system you're on to test your app on a real device. So let's get into it. Okay, so here I am inside of VS Code, and if I want to go ahead and start and select a device, I can hit Debug Target here. This is going to show me all my emulators. Here I'm on a Mac, so I see all of my iOS simulators, and I can deploy to my Mac too. Now, if I'm on Windows, I would see my Android emulators and Windows machines. If I'm on Linux, I'll see my Android emulators. But what if I want to put it onto that device? So the few things that we need to do to get started. So let me go ahead and first screen mirror here. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up an application that I use all the time for screen mirroring called Visor. There we go. And I've plugged my device in. So I'm just going to say view device, and it's going to pop it open. Okay, so the first thing I did is I went into my settings. And inside the settings, you want to scroll down to your bottom, and we need to put our device into developer mode. So I'm going to go to About Phone, scroll to the bottom. I'm going to look for the build number. This is pretty much the same on every single device out there. You want to tab on it a bunch of times, and you'll become a developer. It's free. You don't have to do anything at all. Right there, you're a developer, good to go. Now, at this point, almost every single Android device also uses the same different Android debug bridge drivers and things. So normally you just plug your device right in. This is a Pixel 4 device, and it should be good to go. Now, I put it into developer mode, but we need to check a few other things. The first thing we need to do is go back and then into System. Then we can go down to the bottom and see developer options. Those were enabled when I put it into developer mode. Here we can see use developer options are now turned on. So make sure those are on, and then scroll to the bottom here and, well, not to the bottom, but to the midpoint and see debugging. And you want to turn on USB debugging. Now at this point, when you turn that on, that is going to enable you to connect it to your device, such as a Mac here that I have, and then automatically it will show up via the Android debug bridge, which I'll show about. Now, there is also wireless settings too. So as long as it has an IP address, you can do it wirelessly, but I just like wired because it's faster, obviously. But you can totally do that as well. Now, here underneath that USB debugging, you'll see revoke USB debugging authorizations. Now, what I'm going to tell you to do is make sure you unplug this from your device, plug it back in, and you'll see this pop up. And you might have saw it actually when you turn on developer options if you had it plugged in already. But this setting right here is enabling sort of the communication for developer options between your device and your operating system. So you want to make sure this is on. There's a checkbox that says always allow the communication between this device and specifically the operating system that you're on. So if you're on your own machine, you want to check that. That makes it easier, so you don't have to check it every single time. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is go back into VS Code over here. And I'm going to go down over here and hit that button and say debug target again. And we're going to see here that it says Google Pixel 4 over here. It actually has my device, so emulator and device. So that's just the name of the device, and it's automatically picked it up. Well, how did it pick it up? Well, it's because of that Android debug bridge. So it automatically enabled it. So if I unplug it and replug it, it's going to go ahead and show it again. So here I can go ahead and tap on it. I'm going to go ahead and hit debug. This will go ahead and compile up the application and then deploy it directly onto my device. So literally actually just putting it in to debug mode and then automatically plugging it in, allowing that communication will enable that to work. And that's because the .NET MAUI tooling for VS Code is using the Android debug bridge. It's the same thing that Android Studio uses and Visual Studio uses. And now I have this up and running. So I can click around and I can use all the different device sensors and everything on my actual physical phone, which is so cool. And what's nice, if you do use something like screen mirroring in this case, then you're going to have it right on top. So you just have it plugged in. This is really convenient if you're on a lower power machine or somewhere where like the Android emulators don't work very well, which happens on all the time. So now you're saying, James, well, I am not even seeing any devices or any emulator or anything like that. What do I do? Well, that could be that the Android debug bridge is out of whack and needs to be restarted. And that probably happens when you open VS Code. So I'm sure actually closing VS Code and reopening it probably will fix that up. But you can do this manually as well. I'm going to go over into my settings over here and make that a little bit smaller so I can see the extensions and tap on .NET MAUI. Here we're going to see the SDK preferred path, and inside of there is going to be our Android debug bridge. I'm going to open up terminal here. I'm just going to make this bigger for us. I'm going to CD into it. There we go. And if I go into here, I can go CD platform tools, CD or LS, let's see. And there's an ADB here. There we go. Perfect. So now if I do /ADB devices, this is going to show us our active devices that are there. So that's really, really nice. Now I could also come in and say /ADB, and I could do kill server or start server. That's going to enable me to stop the server and restart the server. And VS Code should then pick up things automatically for us. So you could do that manually. Now, something that's actually really nifty is if you're inside of VS Code, you can go into extensions and just type in ADB. There we go. And you can install a few different extensions that are here, but the one that I installed is the ADB interface for VS Code. And this gives you a bunch of just the different commands that you can use. So now you can go up to the top project and you say ADB, and we can see here that we can kill server, connect to device from list, connect to device IP, disconnect any devices, pick an APK to install, remove. You do a whole bunch of stuff here, which is really, really nice, all from VS Code. So that is super duper nifty. And now your devices, your machine, and you'll know how to configure it from start to finish. And if something goes wrong, you can easily just restart it right away. All right, well, there you have it. It's really just that easy, to be honest with you, to get your Android devices up and running. I have a full setup guide for VS Code, so check it out over there, down there, wherever it pops up on the screen. If you like this and you want more tips and tricks and all those goodies, let me know in the comments below. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button so you get notified every single time I put out a video right here on my channel. And that's going to do it for this one. So thanks for watching.